Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to take a look at some figures from the Mission Series line from Hasbro. For those of you that aren't familiar, the Mission Series line is basically a series of action figure 2 packs which feature characters from the Star Wars saga. These figures are very similar to the ones released in the Saga Legends line in the sense that they're A, very cheap, B, poorly articulated, and C, in certain cases, badly sculpted as well. Again, like with the Saga Legends that I've given you a look at in a couple of my previous videos, there are some hidden gems hidden amongst this line, and the ones that I'm about to show you are what I consider to be some of the best Mission Series packs that have been released. For me personally, I don't think that the Saga Legends and the Mission Series figures deserve all the hate that they get. For me, it's a nice nostalgic throwback to the days when we didn't get, premium articulation in our figures and, superior sculpts and, premium features. It's a nice nostalgic look for the line, and, I'm not saying I'm in favour of it consuming the Star Wars 3 3/4 inch line as a whole, but it's a nice little throwback, and as I've said before, for new collectors and young collectors alike, this is a great way to introduce characters to their collections. So I'm in favour of it, just not completely. But as I said, the ones that I'm going to give you a look at in these next couple of videos are what I consider to be some of the best ones. And we're going to kick things off with this very cool set, which is from Revenge of the Sith, and it consists of Darth Sidious and Yoda. Now, this is from Wave 3 of the Mission Series line. Wave 1 and 2 weren't exactly spectacular in terms of not just figure quality, but character choice as well. The first wave consisted of characters such as Anakin and a 501st clone, many battle droids, Darth Vader and a Seeker droid, and just kind of boring figures really. So I didn't pick most of them up, but these ones I did decide to give them a go. As I said, they are very cheap. Each set usually costs around $9.99, so considering we pay that for a single figure from the Black Series, it's not a bad deal. Essentially 2 figures for the price of 1. If you're in the UK and you're watching this in time, then if you head on down to your local Asda supermarket, then you'll be lucky enough to find these as part of the 2 for £14 deal. So you can pick up a couple of the new Mission Series sets for, essentially buying one and getting one half price. If, for whatever reason, that offer has ended by the time you're watching this video, there is a link in the video description where you can pick these figures up at my most trusted supplier of all things Star Wars, staractionfigures.co.uk. So as I said, this one is based on Revenge of the Sith. It consists of Yoda and Darth Sidious, and we'll take a look at these figures in more detail in just a little bit. Before we do that, as always, we are going to take a look at the packaging that these guys come in, and a little bit of packaging trivia for you. This particular set, amongst others, is actually available in 2 variations of packaging. This one and the brand new Star Wars Rebels packaging as well. The Rebels packaging is slowly but surely dribbling out into stores here in the UK. I've spotted it at the Disney store, so it won't be long now until the Rebels figures themselves are hitting shelves. But if you're a carded collector and you're looking for the best packaging, then you've got a choice. You've got this 2013 sort of Revenge of the Sith style packaging, or you've got the brand new Rebels line as well. So this is the one that I've picked up. This is of course the older style. So we do have Darth Vader at the top of the card. We have this very cool Mustafar themed sort of packaging design with all the lava and all that sort of stuff. As you can see in the bottom corner, we have an image of Yoda, and on the other side we have an image of Darth Sidious, or Emperor Palpatine, who now has a first name. It was a little bit underwhelming when we were made aware of it. Sheev Palpatine is apparently Darth Sidious's real name. Bit of a weird one, but there we go. As you can see at the front there, you've got the Darth Sidious and Yoda name tab, as well as the Mission Series name as well. And Hasbro have dubbed this one Senate Duel, which is of course based on that awesome scene in Episode 3 when Yoda and Darth Sidious really go at it. As you can see on the back of the box, we've got an image there of Darth Sidious and Yoda in battle, one of my favourite scenes from that movie. Just below there we have a description of the set, and we have some other characters available in this line as well. I'll be giving you a look at Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader in my next review. And as you can see, you can also pick up sets featuring Obi-Wan and General Grievous, and Han Solo and Chewbacca. Again, some of these I have skipped because the sculpts and character selection itself is not all that great, but they're available if you desire them. So there we go, that is the box for this set. Now let's take a look at the figures that we get. Now, one of my main gripes with this new wave of Mission Series figures is that it seems to be plagued with repacks. Of the 3 packs that are released in this wave, 3 figures are actually repacked from earlier lines. The Yoda in this set, for example, is the exact same figure that I gave you a look at in my recent Saga Legends review. So we're going to compare the 2 figures side by side in just a little bit. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at, in my opinion, the true highlight of this set, and that's Darth Sidious. Now, this is, for all intents and purposes, a really, really cool figure. As I said, the limited articulation and the, I'll not say dated sculpts, but, you know, less adequate sculpts of these figures are very nice in my opinion. You know, they make really good toys, which is essentially what these things are. They're toys. They're, to quote Woody from Star Wars? Woody from Toy Story, they're child's playthings. So to critique these things a little bit too much would be unfair, you know, because they have been made, as I said, for kids, for younger collectors, for first-time collectors, and for the price that you're paying for these things, they're really not that bad. So I don't think they deserve all the negativity that gets thrown at them. And this is a really cool figure, as I said. We're going to zoom in on this guy and have a look at him in HD. But as you can see, it's a reasonably sculpted figure. First and foremost, the facial sculpt is so-so, you know. I'm on the fence with it. I can't say I love it, but I can't say I hate it either. For my own personal, you know, gratification, he looks a little bit too happy for a Sith Lord who's getting his backside handed to him by a little green Jedi. You know, he looks a bit too smiley and happy. He doesn't quite look evil enough, but it's not a major issue. What I like about this figure is the fact that all the correct paint applications are there. You know, you've got the shading on the skin, you've got the yellow Sith eyes. For all intents and purposes, as I said, a reasonable figure and a decent likeness to Darth Sidious himself. One interesting thing to note about this figure is this marks the second only time that Darth Sidious has been released in his Senate Duel outfit. The first figure that we got of the Senate Duel Darth Sidious was released in 2010 as part of the Vintage Collection, and that was a really, really tricky figure to pick up. So again, going back to what I said earlier, if you you know, didn't manage to pick up that figure the first time round, or you're a first time or young collector, this is a great figure to pick up. You know, it's based on an iconic scene from the film. It's a decent figure all round, so what's not to love? You know, it's decent. You know, it does the job. So that's all I'll say about that. In terms of articulation, as I said, he's not great, but if you go into this pack knowing what to expect, you won't be disappointed. He doesn't have much articulation in the head. Obviously, the head and hood being one piece does hinder the articulation somewhat, but it's not a major issue. He does have swivel shoulders as well. For the first time ever in the Saga Legends and Mission Series line, this figure has swivel wrists. I know, it's a revolutionary concept. And he does indeed have swivel hips as well. Now, as you can see, Hasbro have gone to the extent of not making the robes one solid piece. They've actually hollowed those out so that when you position the legs, you can actually see some of that sculpted detail inside the robe, which I wouldn't have missed it if it wasn't there, but it's a nice touch. So there we go. As I said, I really love the old school articulation of these figures. You know, I've been collecting Star Wars figures for quite some time, so I've got definitive versions of basically all of these characters, but, you know, odd novelty items like this, I'm all for them. You know, I don't mind them too much, as long as they're not produced in any heavy quantities. As you can see, Darth Sidious does come with his lightsaber as well, which, again, is quite nice. It's reasonably sculpted, you know, nicely detailed, but is missing some of those paint applications that have been seen on previous releases. So all in all, not a bad figure whatsoever. Definitely the pick of the the set, obviously because we've seen Yoda released before, but a nice figure. And again, if you're a first time collector and you haven't had a chance to pick up a Darth Sidious figure just yet, great way to pick him up, and a very cheap way as well. So that's Darth Sidious. Now let's take a look at this guy, Yoda. Now, there are some very subtle paint differences between this figure and the one released in the Saga Legends line that I gave you a look at recently. So just to show you those, we're going to compare the two. Now, the figure that has the lightsaber in hand is the Mission Series release, and this is the Saga Legends one that I gave you a look at a few weeks ago. As you can see, the skin tone on the new Mission Series Yoda is slightly brighter. It's a little bit more subtle on the Saga Legends version. They're both very fluorescent and very green, but the Mission Series one is just that little bit greener, which is a little bit off-putting, and in my opinion at least, makes the Saga Legends version of Yoda a much better figure. Other than that, they're essentially the same. You know, they share the same sculpt, same accessories, and the same articulation. So we'll run through that now. As you can see, he does come with the green lightsaber. Again, nicely sculpted, but missing some of those vital paint applications on the hilt. In terms of articulation, he has a ball-hinged, or a ball and socket joint head, which does allow for some posability, but, you know, considering the rest of the articulation, it's kind of rendered pointless. He does have swivel shoulders, and he has swivel hips as well, and that's your lot. You know, there's nothing major going on with this figure, but as I said in my Saga Legends review, it's a decent figure, and in my opinion, it still blows the Black Series version out of the water. So it's not bad by any means. As you can see on the back of the head there, you've got the grey hair. Nothing really to write home about, but not a terrible figure either. If you want to listen to a more in-depth review on this guy, then by all means check out my Saga Legends review, which was recently posted, so you shouldn't have to search too far on my channel. But, you know, a shame that this was repacked, but, you know, what can you do? Hasbro love their repacks. So, for all intents and purposes, the real highlight of this set is, of course, Darth Sidious. He's a reasonable figure. I actually really like this guy, and I'm very glad that I picked him up. As I said, I was lucky enough to find these as part of the 2 for £14 deal that's currently ongoing at Asda supermarkets. Although again, if you haven't caught that offer in time, then by all means check out the link in the video description where you can pick this set up amongst others at staractionfigures.co.uk. So that's going to do it for this review on Darth Sidious and Yoda from the Hasbro Mission Series 2-packs. And as I said, I'll be back to give you a look at the father and son duo of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker in my next review. So stay tuned for that. And until then, as always, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and in this guy's case, may the dark side of the Force be with you.